Доброго дня, колеги. Вітаю вас в українському медіа-центрі реформ, у проєкті Українського кризового медіа-центру, ці абревіатури. Ми тут дискутуємо і обговорюємо реформи. Вчора, 1 жовтня, набрав чинності закон про ринок газу, наближається зима, і буквально там кілька днів тому моя мама запитала, чому ціни підвищуються, і я дуже чудово, що я тепер можу сказати, і от я організував. Хоча насправді хочу наголосити, що це ініціатива Міністерства енергетики організувати публічну дискусію. Ми намагатимемося робити це максимально експертно і фахово. І сьогодні ми працюємо в такому форматі більш наближеному до дебатів. В нас є ключові доповіді, коментарі експертів, запитання-відповіді від вас, десь в межах 1,5 години. І в нас перші доповіді щодо того, що дало взагалі зміна підходу до формування цін на газ і тарифів відповідно на комунальні послуги, що дало, наскільки об'єктивно було підвищено ці ціни і чи це зроблено вчасно, тобто це зроблено можна було раніше, можна було пізніше. Ці ключові 3 питання, я сподіваюся, що Володимир Демчишин.
Those 3 key issues, and I believe that Mr. Demchyshyn will be able to answer this question within several minutes, how useful it was to the state, to the people, to the economy generally. 5 minutes at your disposal. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to speak before this very representative audience. And I'm positive that today's discussion will be televised or broadcast by radio. And the discussion has been in place for a long time now and very actively discussed. Whether we should or we had to increase the price for gas, for heating and other communal services. I would like to say that, in fact, different prices. Well, actually, I already repeatedly mentioned more than once that different prices gives us an opportunity to oblgas companies and Obelenерго to abuse their monopolistic position, and this is a problem now. We can, based on statistics, we can say that about 2 billion cubic meters of gas, which had to be consumed or channeled for the consumption by the population, to much extent it is being used by the industry, and they buy it for 309 hryvnia, and they were selling that for the market prices. This is the corruption in the gas sector, and this difference, this delta in the prices, was later used for the formation of the political parties, for the formation of the media resources and the media ideas or opinions. In other words, they bribed the MPs or journalists, and then they formed this or another opinion. And I believe that the major thesis of combating corruption, one of the most important things here is boiled down to the not low price for the gas. Somebody said that the increase in the prices will lead to nothing. In fact, last year in the Naftogaz, we additionally invested. I'm talking about the state investments, public investments, for covering the damage more than 111 billion hryvnia, and in order to balance off the difference in prices, for the industry and. We had just to compensate for the cheap price which was used for the population, and that one which was delivered for the Komunenergo, and the budgetary money were not used to resolve the social tasks like the healthcare or education or construction of the roads. And there were a lot of more urgent things which had to be taken care of, first of all. But unfortunately, nobody would like to hear me. If there are a lot of budgetary expenditures. If we do not spend them on Naftogaz, we have to do that. And Naftogaz is disbalanced. Of course, there are some critics who say that to disbalance Naftogaz without increasing the tariffs. Unfortunately, this kind of balancing off is partially provided by decreasing the price of foreign imported gas. Well, the major effect is at the cost of decreasing the price for the oil. Definitely, we were very active in trading with Gazprom, and I believe that the price, which has been coordinated for the fourth quarter this year and the first quarter next year, is quite adequate. Moreover, that price, which has been agreed upon, less than $230, and Naftogaz already made it published. We are talking about $127.37. This is the full price, including the calorific value. And if you compare this price with other market, we are talking about something like $220. So this is quite a good price. So far, we do not pump this gas into the underground storages based on this price, but there are some contracts or agreements between our ministry and Naftogaz. We are going to be actively involved in pumping this gas and this price to our storage facilities. Also, what we try to limit the corruption by taking such steps. I'm talking about the opportunities of big and rich consumers to pay the realistic price. I can't understand why about 40% of the consumers, Ukrainian consumers, who can pay, who can let's say, necessary, adequate incomes, why they should pay the privilege price. I understand that there are vulnerable, let's say, layers of society, or let's say non-protected, and they had to be offered, and the subsidies have to balance off their expenses and the incomes, but the rest have to pay the full price, because so some years in the budget they had the money which they used in order to balance off or to compensate for this price. But now we don't have that luxury. We have to spend a lot of money for the needs of the army and other things. Thank you.
Yulia Volodymyrovna, your political force criticizes the government, and that's important because analysis with criticism applied to the government actions is the foundation, one of the foundations of democracy. How do you think whether this raising tariffs was done on the right time? Thank you. We are not critics of the government. We are a team which wishes to change the wrongful strategy of social and economic development strategy of the country. I do not wish to offend the minister, but actually he did not mention any figure. We are not discussing the tariffs today. We are discussing the economic policy in general. If you look at slide number 1, we can see that GDP is sharply dropping, and the government's task is to understand why it is dropping so sharply. And the first picture, the first bar, this is a decrease of GDP, because the biggest part, the biggest component of GDP is percentage or volume of retail sales, and it is very sharply sinking, and the fact that retail sales have dropped more than 23% is one of the drivers why the GDP is so sharply decreasing, because there's only people who are and they are money which drive the economy. Slide number 7. The left column shows the households, average household budget before. In the past, half of income was allocated for food, and another part to the utility services, and up to 30% to other needs like medicines, like clothes, etc. After the raise of tariffs and sharp drop of the exchange rate, people spend up to 60% for food stuff, and at the same time the absolute figure became negative, while utility services is equal to 35%. And all the rest takes only 5%. That is, households became absolutely insolvent. Small and medium-sized business drops considerably in the country. The economy is shrinking, and when a small and medium-sized business is not working in the country, all the rest becomes useless, actually. And now about the economy, everything what we observe today, this is a violation of the legislation, the law on functioning of the natural gas market. If the law is not implemented, there is chaos in the country, and people want to see full implementation of the law and implementation of the constitution. This law, which had been in effect by October 1st, had to be implemented. And the law says that some groups of companies and industrial enterprises with specific shares of state capital have to surrender all the half of produced gas to the state. Well, I will close in 5 minutes. All the governments, including the criminal governments, complied with that law. Today, taking into consideration that we do not have Chernomor Naftogaz, the producing companies had to give 16.2 billion cubic meters of gas to the state storages. Slides number 15 shows Skiki gas they surrendered. They had to pump in 16.2, while they pumped in only a little more than 9 billion. All the rest, 5.6 billion cubic meters, they disappeared. Then the question is where they are, how they disappeared, who have chosen which companies had to get it, and who is earning money on this cheap gas, while the population receives imported gas. There are many people here from the government. I would like to finish my argumentation. If you look at slide 16, 5.6 billion cubic meters, which are substituted with imported gas, and population have paid more than 10 billion. This is a tax, but not tariff. Slide number 25. In reality, this increase in tariffs, this is another tax. Before increase, we had price 1309. This is income of Укргазвидобування, transportation and taxes. This raise in tariffs, how it splits, 5.5 times the price of gas is raised, and 8 times the taxes inside that tariff are increased. This quite clear that this all money they will go to the government. The income of Naftogaz has been raised 11.4 times. Naftogaz, which has been doing nothing, why they are taking 11.4 times more? These are only production and transporting companies, which have received 1.7, 1.8 times more. And slide number 26. Under old price of gas, net income of Укргазвидобування was at the level almost 5 million hryvnia. This is a good income of producing. Naftogaz means actual corruption, and the only reform is to cancel Naftogaz and remove everything what is inside. They buy resources much higher than the price. They direct cash for buying girls. I know this system, I know what the corruption in this sphere is, and we should not allow bureaucrats to earn. Thank you. Thank you.
We are behind the time. Thank you very much for your most argumented presentation, because this is when you support your position with the figures, it's the best way to do that. Dmytro, the National Committee for Energy Regulation, your comment, and the same question, whether it was justified and reasonable to do that situation. Come back 1 year ago when we had the revolution, the management of the country took the course to Euro integration. It means that we have to follow the provisions of regulation EC, such and such, and whatever pertains to the energy sector. Also bringing our legislation to the requirement of the third energy package. And based on that, we developed also a coalition agreement, which contains this section energy independence and efficiency, and the item number 3, which was signed by all the coalition members without an exception, was cross subsidies and balancing all level of the price for the gas, natural gas and electric power. That should be true for all the consumers for 15, 16, 17 years. At the same time, they had to introduce the targeted subsidies. Our task is to take care of the interests of all the parties involved. And here we do not have even the title or such words as salaries or the level of the income. Our task is to ensure the activity of the natural monopolies and create the competitive terms for competition of the market. And that's why we adopted the law on the natural gas market, or we drew up this law. In April this year, almost all the factions, but the Yuriy Volodymyr one, he was absent, voted for the adoption of this law. Also, it was mentioned that by October, the government, the regulator, all of them have to prepare the secondary legislation. We did that, but it's unfortunate, but the Verkhovna Rada has not voted for that, for the 3 laws in order to completely introduce this law and translate it into life. What are the major principles of this law? They are as follows. Starting from now on, the prices are not regulated. They are market prices, like the commodity. And it's being regulated by regulator for distribution through the trunk lines and the local networks of mobile gas structures. At the same time, the law said that if the government deems it necessary, they can introduce special duties or commitments. What does it mean? Having assessed the situation available on the market, and the cabinet of ministers has more information about that than the regulator of the aspects of the life in the country, they can pass a separate decision, individual decision, who is going to be responsible for selling the gas not based on the market level, not market price. That decision was made by the government, and it is in line with the previous decision taken by the National Committee for Regulation. We are talking about 2 different prices for the population. Number one, 3.6 hryvnia per cubic meter, and up to 12,200. Another 778 hryvnia. This is the full price for the consumer, including all the taxes, all the services provided by the natural monopolies for transportation. And the price of gas in these prices is 5.141 hryvnia per 1,000 cubic meter, divided by the currency course, 22 or something like that. You'll find the price which we actually based ourselves in our agreement with Naftogaz, which is also we have some privileged price. As it mentioned in the coalition agreement, we provided the target-oriented subsidies, which are actively being issued to the population. So, answering your question, I believe that stage-by-stage elimination was politically determined, and it meets the European legislation and the common sense. When you pay for your invoices when you receive the target-oriented subsidies, so the task of our government and the civil servants to explain to the people why it happens in this way. I do appreciate that we have a lot of different people representing different spheres, and we have here a real discussion. Thank you, Dmytro. I would like to give the floor to the representative of the Parliament, the Profile Committee, who also was involved in working on the law on natural gas. I'm talking about Madam Belkova, Olga Belkova. What do you think, how it influenced, objective or not objective, the decisions taken on the changing the price for the gas for the population? Thank you very much.
Thank you for this opportunity. I have a mission to mention that the reform which we are launching today, which we are actually just starting, because the law on the market on natural gas came has come to force only yesterday. It had to start some 10 years ago. Which, unfortunately, I have to mention that there is no such thing in the market that cheap Ukrainian gas. Just like there are no cheap diamonds, no cheap gold, no cheap things. But we have low wages, we have low incomes in Ukraine, and this should be kept in mind. In order to understand what should be the price of Ukrainian gas, I invite everybody to view the prices in the European stock exchange and to think over why we should have cheap Ukrainian gas. If Ukraine is an exporting country, then we would be able to think what could be the internal price in the gas. But today in Ukraine, we produce our gas and buy the gas from exporters. And I look at the prices that population consumes two types of gas for cooking, that is national gas, and also imported gas. That is, during the last years, the population continued to consume big parts of gas. All the gas which comes to Ukraine, it is in one and the same pipe. There is actually one price for all this gas. If we divide with the price which the minister mentioned, 5.141. Does everybody in Ukraine need cheap gas? Let us look at two households. One household has the house of more than 500 square meters, and their neighbors having 90 square meters, and before the raise in tariffs financing the Naftogaz deficit, we supplied 180,000 hryvnia per year and to 21,000 to the household having 90 meters, and at the same time chemical enterprises or big families having stables and big houses, etc., they were subsidized. For me, as an economist knowing about the market, this only means that we will have gas traders who will be competitors, and they will try to offer cheaper and more competitive prices. The price of the gas is not equal to the issue of subsidies and reimbursement. We should not cover the expense of the expenses in industries in production. Also, I agree in something with Yulia Volodymyrovna in one specific statement. We fully share that the state and the government do not see that that tax policy applied to the producing companies have actually destroyed Ukrainian production, and all our taxes actually go to Gazprom. we decrease our production each year, and the only way to raise our domestic production in Ukraine is first to make more efficient gas Oblenerga, and the other way is to decrease taxes. The representatives of the parliament speak with figures. I would like to give the floor to Naftogaz representatives with their short comment, and then we will have some experts and then comments to it. Thank you for inviting me to this discussion. I also would like to show some pictures. Would you please show our web page in Facebook? That's why we still do not have approved budget for advertising. That's why we use Facebook as a to show our this picture, please. This is the simple explanation where the deficit of Naftogaz for population appears. I agree with Yulia Volodymyrovna and with all the consumers that we wish to pay fair price, and this picture shows that we buy for 340 and buy for and sold for bigger price and earned 1.8 billion hryvnia, and also we had to produce had to supply the residents with imported, more expensive gas. And here you see the figure showing that we buy expensive imported gas and sold it with cheaper price to population. And here you see that the deficit was at the level of $6 billion, and $6 billion, and this is a huge black hole in the business plan of Naftogaz. And this year we had to buy the imported gas on currency, and the deficit was 18.5 for the first half year. Now the situation is more complicated with the fact that we are buying gas for population from abroad. When we made a step towards more market price, the deficit has dropped 3 times from 18 billion hryvnia to just only 6 billion hryvnia. And if Yulia Volodymyrovna won't object, I would use also her pictures. Ms. Yulia, if you please show slide number 11. The law which Madam Yulia mentioned, it had been efficient till yesterday. It speaks about all the enterprises where the state has more than 50% property, and that the gas has to be sold each month. When we speak about Ukrgaz Vidobuvania, it produced 15.1 million cubic meters, but when we look at the enterprises where the state has 50 or 51% of property. If we deduct that enterprises where we do not own 51%, we have just 14.0 billion. Part of this gas goes to the industrial needs. The commodity gas is only 13.2 billion cubic meters. All the gas which we were able to take from that enterprises, we took, this was 13.2, and more than 200 million cubic meters last year. We managed to pump in 200 million cubic meters. I would like to show you a slide. These figures, these are accounting figures. There is these are figures. Ukernafta, Ukrgaz. These are incorrect figures. Madam Yulia, I will give you the word after 3 comments. May I finish? We look at 14.7 minus 1.5 billion, which are not controlled. No, that's incorrect. They are not controlled. As for Ukernafta, besides joint activity agreements, where they have around 15% of that Ukernafta may spend its gas for production of nitrogen at Dmytro Azot enterprise. The law does not allow us to take this gas for the consumers. And one more slide from our Facebook webpage, and look at the photos and down, and scroll it down, more, and the picture where we have the green and yellow. This picture shows how much we paid for the gas for population. Green part shows what was paid by people. Red part shows what was paid by Naftogaz. For the last 10 years, we paid 40 billion hryvnia for the gas for population, and bigger part of it went to Gazprom, and any energy efficiency measures and rejection from imported gas may cost us 40 billion to us. If 10 years ago we started to invest into energy efficiency, we were able to make our energy more energy efficient and to get rid of exported from imported gas. Before we start discussion, we have 3 experts from Naftogaz. We have Svyatoslav Pavliuk, then short comment, then Oleksiy, and then we will start debate. Irina mentioned part of the thesis about energy efficiency in Ukraine. If we bring to this room the importers of the grain and we'll start discussion about the prices, about the cost of that, etc. And if you bring people here and ask why you force us to pay so much.
The European Union actually covered the same situation when the sales of the gas just took by the throat. They already matured to the situation when they have what they called it first energy package. So the response of the European Union was this: combating the monopoly. This market could include many suppliers, different prices, etc. Then if we provide necessary competition, that the market is going to be stabilized. The European Union, it took them about a decade, 10 years from 1995 to 2006 to adopt the first package, when they introduced the legislative regulations which provides for the free competition, the first big-time sellers, and then let's say the smaller sellers. When we earlier bought the gas $540 from Russia, and they blackmailed us regarding the price, but this year the Gazprom actually asked us, kindly requested us to buy their gas for $240. So this is a radical change, because we have this possibility of this kind of competition. Nevertheless, we should fulfill the regulations of the European Union, not just bluntly and not in kind of the umbrella type or the framework type manner. I'm always surprised when our Ukrainian experts say that we have to do that because this is demanded by the international donors. They do not ask the question why they demand this. They just say, that's it. They demand it, that's it. And this is kind of icon. We have to pray before this icon. And the international institutions which actually provide the loan to us, they actually demand us to return that money. So, or what are you going to do? To demand from the alcoholic to return the money you give him, he is going to drink it away, you know. Or you're going to ask them to give his plan how he's going to spend that money. About $20 billion, those money was spent for the subsidies from the state budget. There cannot be the free cheese, no free cheese, you know, because everybody, if there is some free food, that means some of the donors pay the money for that for that product or dish to become free. So this year for the energy efficiency program, to help the people to to provide more heat in their dwellings, we have 320 million hryvnia was given by European Union because we couldn't find money in our budget to make to provide the heated space in the dwellings. And now for subsidies we are going to spend 24.7 billion. So we give them give that money to the suppliers of the resources for them to provide this resource cheaper, not to the people for make their dwellings warmer. So we have the situation when the public, the state de facto is dumping on this market, undermine the business projects associated with providing more heat to the dwellings. And this situation ended up in the situation when we have such a basic indicator for 1 square meter per year in the building. Most of the heat and gas is consumed within the premises of the building. We are talking de facto about the buildings. We do not talk about the stoves, gas consumption for the stoves for cooking. So the average in the 2014 average energy performance index is 263 kilowatt per square meter per year. If we compare this figure with the EU countries, this figure between 90 and 120. And if we're talking about the future plan, it obliges all the buildings up to 2030 to switch over to 40 per year per square meter. So the fact that we supply the money from the budget, we give the money not to provide the heat in your buildings, but to subsidize the gas, and we actually dump in the energy saving project. We have the cheap gas, this solution. We paid from our taxes to 20 billion. And further on, we are going to just to spend it or waste it, I would say. In today's state public policy, we were talking about the gas price for the population must be proceeded not how to bring the Naftogaz to the zero level, but how to make them profitable, and how the profits from this Naftogaz could be used for the programs of energy efficiency to be implemented different values. Because the last phrase, and I'm going to finish that, based on the results of 2013, the total sum of money subsidies is 160 billion hryvnia, given the national budget those days 460. So 30% of the national budget was spent for the subsidies for the population, different forms, energy market, etc., etc. So not none other country in the world which has such a huge volumes of consumption, this huge amount of subsidies, you won't find it. We should have protected our consumer not by the tariffs, but to create the system of benefits of the rails. This is the way out of our situation. One of other measures of this discussion, Oleksiy Khabatiuk, you have the floor. Please be brief, as quick as you. Why you try to we consumers are absolutely happy what's going on. We consumers do not trust a single figure they show us, neither the price for the gas, nor for the tariffs for the heat, nor for water. We try to cooperate with the state national regulator, but we do not have a process of adoption of tariffs. They do not hear us today. And since we are, goodies, we would like to say where they steal all this, but I'm going to start from the beginning. We can do whatever. The gas is a policy, you understand that. This means huge money. I do not ask the question to the People's Deputy which faction she represents. When she compares the gas and the diamonds, if I were not a gentleman, I would put it a different way. But you're absolutely wrong. This is not gas and diamonds, but we are talking about survival. This is a bad mistake on your part. And you're being fooled all the time. They tell you about some kind of buildings with 600 square meters with the swimming pools and whatever else. Maybe those rich people are 0.5%. They live in the Kochizatspor, but believe me, they already do not use natural gas. They use pellets, and when they tell us the 99%, well, what are you talking about? This number one. Number two, let's try to understand in a peasant way. I'll explain. We had 50 billion cubic meters of Ukrainian state gas. 100% of the shares belongs to Naftogaz. Naftogaz is 100% state-run company. When I was part of the government, we had the supervisory board and I had the deputy head. Now it is being subordinated to you absolutely. The major question is, I do not have a spy or the special agent. I took it from the open information in the mass media. The journalists show that those people in this or another manner, they are involved in this gas business. That means that they have the special gas recovery wells. I'm really happy. It's good to work with you. This is good. Yeah, I don't want to insult anybody else. If this is true, this is the answer why we are asking for the whole year. Where are those 3 billion from the state balance? They used to belong to the state budget, and now the ministry representative of Naftogaz. This is under the agreement on this joint activities. I can explain to you. There were some wells, exploratory wells and whatever else, production wells. They had to receive some more money to take care of the overhaul and to kind of expand their. And they will provide the recovery. But the matter is that they gave those wells to the private persons, and they say, no, this is no longer the state run. This is private, so you have to pay for another price. The only thing, if we had a very decent people in Naftogaz, definitely this person will come up with the initiative to the General Prosecutor's Office when and who gave away our gas, or what for 1 year, and one political force which is trying to be elected, he said that I want to be elected as Prime Minister. He did not promise this kind of terrorists. He said that I will give the natural gas to all the population. Let's then try and find the political corruption. I agree. Politics is a different story. You are going to take care of that yourselves. But this is a magical circle named of Kucherenko, sir. This is 720 and 200 price. Укргазвидобування takes 7% of this price. 7%. What we pay, you see, this sector, and Naftogaz, almost 50% of that. If you want me to persuade that this is a market price, I will never believe it. I will just ask you a question. Explain me this price. I understand there are obel gas, trans gases, whatever. This is a separate issue, but this question more to Mr. Vovk. Those are natural monopolies. He tries to exert pressure on that. But please show me where this 50%, almost the 50% go. I'd never received the answer to that question. This is a supra political issue. When I get that answer, I can assure you that 150 MPs or the government people will not have a chance to run and board the plane. Mr. Petro tells us about the reform and 72nd directive, how to create regulator. Market cannot be imagined without regulator. What is regulator? A special body which takes care of monitoring, following up what's going on the market. We have 2 regulators, Anti-Monopoly Committee, which we have not seen for 18 months, and they made the discovery that the tariff filling stations, the price for the gasoline is high, and while the price for the oil is decreasing. I know that Mr. Vovk actually approached him, but if they involved myself, they will do that earlier. There is no law on this body. This is not a legitimate agency today. I do not want to insult or offend anybody. This is the decision of the Constitutional Court which prohibited the President to nominate the managers of the National Committee. I have no claims to you. You're president of a coalition. You want to provide the market for me. I am all for that. But create the regulator, then me as the consumer feel as the subject of this process. You didn't do that. You proposed the market to me without any conditions, provide no conditions to regulate this market. And then we have some specific questions. 3 billion from Укргазвидобування without the meters, 2/3 of the buildings. They write off billions of cubic meters of gas, you know that. By the way, Mr. Vovk supported that the norms should be decreased, but Yatsenyuk just tried to hide away. He did not decrease those norms. The third question is 3.5 billion cubic meters of gas, which is sent for the technological let's say, write-off, let's say. We are talking about huge amounts of money. Until you get the answers to those questions, there will be no confidence or trust of that. Mr. Khabatiuk and those three experts who I absolutely trust. You said you did not prepare me as the consumer. There is no meter. There is no additional heat. Loans for 28% interest. Who is going to take money just to provide some heat in their dwellings? It's absolute nonsense. We are talking about reform, not only about the price of the gas. Your regulation Directive 2227. Let's have public hearings. How you prepared myself for this market? You have not prepared myself at all. So you get a bad mark for that. D mark. Thank you for your idea. For the next
we went even down in our assessment of the successful work of the government here, but Oleksiy Khabatiuk is the last expert to speak on the issue, and then we will open Q&A session. I'm the last panelist to speak, and I will sum up probably about the price. I think it's we are mistaken when we discuss the price itself. The principle, the pricing is set by the new law on the gas market, but the tariff policy should not be the instrument of social protection. The state has the function of subsidies and the function of targeted aid to population. Today, the new law on the natural gas market, although it has changed the rules of the game, but also provided the government with the function to authorize some government bodies to set the price 330 hryvnia, while it has had to do this via the mechanism of subsidies. Actually, we still preserve the different prices for different categories of consumers. That's not right. Speaking about balancing of the tariff policy, we speak on gas price. Gas does not exist in vacuum. Gas competes with other fuels. We have the neighboring market, the market of electric energy. The price of 1 kilowatt per hour is 45 kopecks. The price of gas is 72 kopecks. This may look rather strange in a country where which is very close to the collapse in electric energy system, and at the same time all our government officials actually promote electric heating, while we have to decrease electric energy consumption from day hours to night hours. That's why we have to balance tariff policy between different types of energy. And in case we continue to disbalance it in the state, we still have the approach of not subsidizing but cross-subsidizing, and thus produce consumers anyway pay to the producing enterprises. Against the statement, we stand for all the good and against everything bad. That's a good statement, but there are internal conflicts. First of all, we wish to become energy independent. On the other hand, we provide cheap gas to consumers. What are incentives for consumers to save gas? We wish to cut down royalty rates. On the other hand, we wish to cover social expenses on educational, healthcare, on armed forces, where to take money. The money come from that royalty payments. On the other hand, I agree that royalty rates are big and they hinder development of production. They prevent companies from from investment into new production. They do not allow to invest into modernization, which pushes Укргазвидобування to conclude joint activity agreements. On the other hand, the end price of the gas, it create incentives for the measures mentioned by Mr. Pavliuk. It creates incentives for saving gas. We should combine tariff policy with creating incentives for energy saving. And the last statement about that picture that showed expenses of households, saying that 35% of household income is 35% spent for utility bills. 2.6 people average membership of Ukrainian household, and monthly income is around 10,000 hryvnia. We do not speak about pensioners. We speak 35% out of 10,000 is 3.5 thousand hryvnia per month. 3.5 thousand hryvnia per month. And I tried to calculate. I made my calculation. And I believe that for such a family, utility bill in winter will be 1.5, 1.6 thousand hryvnia, and in summer, utility bill, when there is no heating, etc., will be between 400, 600 hryvnia. So the average year utility bill will be around 1,000 hryvnia, and which is actually 12% of the household income. I would like to add these arguments and mention that we need more pure arguments and no slogans. My comment, that's good that the majority of discussion participants showed their figures, their calculations, and made their assumptions. We may comment on the methods of making these assumptions, but nevertheless we saw some objective statistical figures. And I have good news for you. On October 17, we will see the EITI report in Ukraine, and we will have more objective information prepared by non-government organizations, that is, by more objective observers, and we will see real situation. So all the panelists wish to comment, and I would request you to speak as briefly as possible. We have many participants.
Well, in fact, I believe that we made a mistake not inviting the Prime Minister to participate in our round table because he is the author of this tariff policy. He proposed to the country such reforms. And that's why I believe it, because at the expense of us, we have to give 2 minutes to speak for the Prime Minister. Please, slide number 17. And please, this is not my time. This is the time of Prime Minister. Oh, he has 10 minutes per week, you know. Slide 17, please. They try to find it.
Я думаю, що
I believe that's the policy. Our advice, what we should start with, to stop rob the way, still less, you know. This will help the Ukrainian budget to balance of the state Naftogaz. Maybe he did not tell you the truth here. He is talking about the increase of the tariffs. Let him tell the truth. Each of you has to get the gas of Ukrainian production because 18.5 billion cubic meters of gas is consumed by population of Ukraine, and we produce 20 billion. And we are a very rich country. The government is fools, but the people are smart. So each citizen of Ukraine has to get this your own gas of our recovery. It's between $70 and $100 price, depending where it is being recovered. Not 100, not 200, not 300. We are talking about $70 of Ukrainian gas, but they do not sell it to you. They sell it to your enterprises, and the margin is put, the difference put in their own pockets. This is National Bank data, not ours. Over the last 3 years, to the offshore zone where they hide the money, Ukrainian oligarch and the powers that be, the $70 billion of shot to state budget of Ukraine, you know. So let's give a round of applause to the Prime Minister. You know, we are talking about the shelter program. We can see the date and the time when it took place. When we, when you change a position, your optics or your field of vision changes. And when he was telling that, maybe he was hitting you. I was in the prison those days. He didn't hear what I said. Sorry. Well, it exhausts my comment. Dear friends, I thought that the balance should be renovated because restored, because you can see the face and the person have not changed. And the words he mentioned, I support 300%, because this actually has something to do with the situation. Now comments. We were talking about the gas market. I would like us ourselves not to fool ourselves. There is no gas market. There is no market price for gas. In order to verify that, I can ask any citizen of Ukraine, go to the supermarket and buy some gas or do some commercial structure. There is no market for all the consumers. The price established not by the market, but the National Committee for Electric Energy and Communal Services Regulation. So when they're talking about the market price, please understand they are just lying to you. Now let's see, the world over, there is no market for the gas price market. I mean, and sorry for this radical announcement. There is no market for oil either. It's regulated by other ways. So this is the price for gas for different countries. I'm not going to mention many countries. Let's take Georgia, which has been reformed, which doesn't have a single cubic meter of gas of their own production or recovery. They received $221 and we pay $230. Everybody, and I under stress, everybody can pay the same price, which would be equal, or let's say comparable to their buying ability or capability. I'm not going to talk about Russia or Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, which can allow themselves the luxury to introduce such price. They produce their own gas. We too. That's why I do not want people of Ukraine pay for all the luxuries of the power of the authorities. And I would like to. I don't want the tariffs to be formed by some kind of the trench taxes. I did not interrupt you. So thank you. Let's look whether Ukrainian gas is enough. This is most important. Slide 22. Slide 22 shows how much gas we have, our own gas, and how much we need for Communenergo, heat and Communenergo, and the everyday life. You see 16.7 billion cubic meters under the law, which we have to give to the population. 16.7 billion, according to the accounting gas, they are kept in the underground storages, but so far they give the figure not 8.6 but 4.9. So where is the difference? If they do not know what buffer gas means, I can tell you what it does it mean. It can never be pumped out of the well. It can be on the corruptive, according to corruptive skip added to your reports. Buffer gas is an alienable part of the gas reservoir, like the metal walls or pipes or whatever it is. This is standing. It cannot be recovered. So 24.7 as of January 1, 2015, that was our own resource. 16.2, this is something which is based on the final figures of the year, which is going to be used by the KIA and the everyday needs. What they did, the government, they decreased the volume amount of gas which is given to Ukrainian population by 5.6, and they gave it to their guys. At the same time, they increased the consumption Ukrainians to 21.3 billion, if I'm not mistaken, and instead of 16.2. So it so happened that they have a deficit of 8.5 billion of imported gas, and they threw it at the people. And what is really bad, that by the end of the year the truth will out, the murder will out, as they say. This will not be the. So who is going to return money to the people? So before representatives of the National Committee for Power and Regulation, I would like to show to him before he takes the floor. Slide 27. This is their calculations. Here we have the figures which were given to us in the working group in the Verkhovna Rada, which we received from this National Committee on Regulation. The left is the right column. Total 21.3. This is total what they would like to give to the population. So my question is, how it happened that the government, by their resolution for the population, they approved 20.8 billion less, and you put it 21.3. So you have to agree upon this figure. Instead of 21.3, it must be 16.2. Because this is absolutely verified and checked figure. This is also very important. This is the import for the population, 8.5 billion, the left column, the middle figure, 8.5 billion. We do not need import, but what the rate, currency rate they used, 23.4. Do we have the official rate? Exchange rate 23.4. If you were mistaken, why you did not correct this mistake? That means that this is over exaggerated price in hryvnia. But even if we take those figures, the deficit for the average annual price, $230, and he said that important gas price is 240. Then I have the question to Naftogaz. What is the price we buy the gas at this point of time from Russia in reverse system. Please give us the actual figures, what do you put in your accounting. Then 9 billion, 590 and 10 billion is deficit which is conditional, it doesn't exist. Why then they provide for 29.7 billion hryvnia? So this is all from the budget. So what kind of figures are going to cover, and who is going to write off the money for the material support and services which are actually valued much higher than any kind of retail market can offer. At the same time, I would like you to offer the correct formula for calculation of the price for the gas. I'm absolutely against the price of gas, which will be less than the natural. It shouldn't be. Our position is very simple. The price must be well grounded, with a payback, with the profits, with all the gas recovery and producing companies, but it should not be transformed in the kind of overestimated tax, and this is the methodology used by Naftogaz and the National Committee for Regulation. Instead of the volume which is required for population, 20.1, they instead of 16.2, without the Crimea, without the occupied portion of Donbass, without this exceeding, which is according to the governmental resolution, what was written off, without the meters. They decreased the standard twofold, but they did not take it into consideration. We do not need the imported price. We take the market price 20.88. In this case, 2.839. This is not the losing price. It will bring to all the enterprise, including Naftogaz, the billion upon billion profits. So I would like us to operate the figures and not remove this from the people and not to cover the corruption. I support Olga Belkova, the MP from the bloc, Poroshenko bloc. I understand your position. You try to defend your uniform, as you say, but I really appreciate you supporting me in what I said about this the price. The rent, the lease payment. They determined such a lease price or rent price, which is going to destroy our gas industry, general speak, altogether. Shown the slide where we have the figures for the rents in other countries. Then this is going to be the last slide, okay? Really, this is going to be the last slide, number 32.
For all the countries which have similar tax system as royalty for the gas production, there is the rates used for royalty payments. 70% royalty on Ukrainian gas. This is actually liquidation of Ukrainian production, and this was stated by Укргазвидобування. This was done during that night, last night, when the budget was voted. We put forward strategic task to reject from Russian gas and consume actually only domestic gas. If we wish to produce sufficient amounts of domestic gas, we should remove all the royalties, and all the companies will be able to produce national production. Together with the Petro Poroshenko bloc, we support 29% for general wells and 14% royalty for And this will remove tax burden from local production companies, and the tariffs should be decreased by this royalty. We should build real economy and real policy. In the European Union, nobody speaks about the market. People speak about socially oriented economy, and socially oriented is in the first place. This is the policy of European the People's Party. And what about joint activity? Do recommend to decrease up to 29. I am happy that you asked that question. The experts who are in the room and who watch our stream, they understand it just exists that VAT or is imposed on Ramashka enterprise receives 12% of VAT, while non-Ramashka enterprise gets 25% of VAT, for example. What the government is doing, they suggest that private companies having 100% of foreign capital introduce 29 for general wealth and 14 for extra deep, and for enterprise, for state enterprises leave 70%, and then say, let us compete, including Karpatagaz, which is partially private. And then we will decrease that royalty. There is now the idea in power. They quietly pass the law where besides royalty they build up the distribution of production, PSA, probably then they will have double taxation, royalty and PSA, while the entire world works in just with one system. So they wish to leave 70% royalty for joint ventures, and they say if you give up a bigger part of their property to the state companies, we will allow you to work with lower taxes, and just look how the companies shift from the ordinary tax system to the PSA. The tax system should be the same for all the enterprises. We should prevent a situation where there is huge disbalance. Madam Yulia, sorry, I have to interrupt you. Ukrgaz Vidobuvanya is not Ramashka enterprise. About Ukrgaz Vidobuvanya, we know how all these permits were issued. Though all those permits, there are Mr. Firtash and other guys who are so-called Sweden companies who are owners. I provided to the prosecutor's office a lot of submissions on this topic, and if we decrease the royalty for these people, we allow them to earn 3,000-5,000 hryvnia additionally. If the permits are not issued, when you wanted to get Ukrenergo gas, well, we will put the issue of licenses separately and start discussion.
Thank you very much for another time you give them the floor. Please put on the screen what I asked you. The day before yesterday, we published the annual report, and I would like to advertise it. Taking this opportunity, please acquaint yourself with that. It contains the section about the production of Ukrainian gas, which is much concern to everybody. We included before I joined Naftogaz, and I was very specific about that. We are talking about the price for Ukrainian gas, this or that one. There is not a single price for that, because there are different types of wells or the reservoirs that could be give us the different price for the gas. So those wells which have been explored, everything is okay, and just they recover the gas. $25-30 is the cost of their production. If we do not anything, we are going to produce from those wells less and less. They cannot be, they're exhaustible, you know. So we have to drill or to bore new wells, and there we need investments. For example, we have a chance to, if we are talking about the existing wells, the cost is $50 to $80. If we have to invest something, then we have 180 to 280. The accompanying gas price is different. I'm not an expert there, but I would like to stress that there are different prices or the cost of gas production, and then that's why the different prices. If I may ask you another slide. Yes, lower and to the right. Yes, the same diagram. Thank you. Same diagram, and now we can see what must be the sale price. If you take the sale price on the level of the imported gas, for example, 250, conventional speaking, then the producer in Ukraine can work with the wells number type 1, type 2, and then type 3. They won't be able to sell their gas because it would be too expensive. Now let's consider the situation available to us today. Next page. Now to the left, please. The available situation today. We actually give the price at the level of the cost of production of the first column. What it brings the Укргазовидобування company, what is the result of that? It doesn't have any economic chance to deploy, let's say, not to use or to produce the gas from those wells. If you are going to follow the same procedure, yes, we will have the cheap production, but we will produce less and less, and we will be forced to buy more and more imported gas, and our production will actually die out. I don't ask you to trust the Naftogaz figures. I understand that you like the trust. This was taken by IHS company on the request of the government of Ukraine. How much is spent for wells drilling in different countries where they produce or recover gas? Those are the blue lines. Poland and other neighboring countries, the similar geological structure. We have also Colombia, Australia, just for the comparison. The yellow, how much they can ask for their produce gas, and the green one is for Naftogaz. Not because it's too efficient. No, they fix the low price, and they cannot spend more than it is allowed. They cannot increase the production. So if you're talking about the grounded or justified price, which can be based on the cost, the question is how much gas of our own production would like to have. You would like to have a lot of this gas at the level produced in the world, then it must be imported price. The previous slide, please. I would like to draw attention.
Договір спільного видобування.
What does it mean, GAA, Joint Activity Agreement? In 1970s, Ukraine produced some 60 billion cubic meters per year, and since that time it is decreasing and more decreasing. When the gas production is matured from the same well, you have to put pumping station and to pump gas to produce more gas. And the Укргазвидобування has no possibility to buy that pumps to assemble them on the wells, and they have no money, they have nothing to invest. They invite foreign investors and start joint activity, and as soon as they start involving joint activity agreement contracts, they immediately put international prices. That's a good question. How part of Укргазвидобування many wells became private because of joint activity agreement. You asked about the time, about the right moment or wrong moment for. I would like to show you statistics of the European countries. In Norway, retail price for gas is more than 1,000 hryvnia. In France, is more than 1,000 hryvnia. Norway is a producing country. Now there is a calculation made by the working group, including auditors, showing which figures were taken for this calculation and what should be the price for consumers. You will see what exchange rate what gas price was used. I will come to old paradigm and what is the difference of new paradigm. The old law on the gas market mentioned the balance compiled by the national gas of Ukraine. We have our own gas, we have imported gas to be used by to cover the deficit. Now there is a new paradigm when we have the gas price as a commodity. It is a market price. There are services of the natural monopolist, and having these two elements, the price of gas as a commodity and the natural monopolies, you have the gas price. The Cabinet of Ministers also can put can make statement about special obligations. This is to get commitment from the company for delivery of gas at cheaper prices. This is provision because the social protection system should not be overloaded. As of today, social protection is changed from coverage of all the population to the targeted aid the population. Now looking at comments of Mr. Pavliuk, whether the Commission's activities is legally regulated. Now the activities of the committee is legally based, but the law on regulator should be passed. I expect that the law on the national regulator will be passed in November after election. This will allow us to to become fully independent, including financial independence. Before passage of the law on National Commission on Tariffs, we tried to make tariff process and pricing process as transparent as possible. There was the law from the president about transparency of tariffs, and also we were among the first state agencies which introduced online translations of its meetings. We announce our meetings well in advance. We provide agenda. We publish all our decisions. We have online broadcasting of our sessions, and up to 5,000 visitors, online visitors. I would like to say that it's immoral to compare Europe and Ukraine. Let us compare wages in average wage in Ukraine and Europe. Look at 6th slide. When people make these comparisons, $183.3 average wage in Ukraine, and in the United States is 23 times higher. In Germany, that countries have their own production and approximately equal. Let us change the name of the National Committee on Tariffs for the National Committee on Social Protection. When the Commission on Tariffs say that 5 or 4 companies carried out the audit, that's not right. There was a working group created of physical persons who carried out that audit free of charge. They did not sign the document, and they made no conclusion about the correct price. They came to a conclusion that the methodology was right. Methodology is the same table where we put our figures and received correct price for population. Please do not deceive people. Nobody wishes to deceive people. This report is online. We will add it to the press release. That's a good document which contributes to discussion. Madam Olga, I am very grateful to Dmytro, who mentioned the word paradigm. And for me, a good lesson learned from this discussion as a participant of the as energy market. For me, there is the issue not of age, the issue not of the standing. This is the issue of paradigm. For Ukraine, each cubic meter of gas is as precious as diamonds, because we pay to our aggressor by the lives of our people in the East. And the attitude towards diamonds, gold, and gas, you can you cannot live without diamonds. You are right that half of the Verkhovna Rada is having joint activity agreements. I never promised people that there are cheap resources. And there is a mistake showing on the screen. All the prime ministers signed agreements with Russia about gas supplies from Russia. The only way to get rid of our energy dependence, Yulia Volodymyrovna shall unite and sign the law about decreased royalty. I think the law on natural gas market is stimulating national production. I am also the author of some initiatives simplifying the system and which create favorable conditions for investment. But today, investors will not come to the country when half of gas is sold twice cheaper than the other half of gas. But on the other hand, we should subsidize those families, vulnerable groups who cannot pay full market price. We should see the statistics about families who have the right to get subsidies. I have the right to subsidy, and there might be quite a big number of those families who won't have this right, and this will save money for the country, actually. Thank you. I suggest that we have very brief comments from the experts, and then we make summary and wrap up of our discussion. I have 6 questions to comment about royalty. We have to produce our own gas. We have to decrease royalty. That's why the suggestion is to decrease up to 29% for private producer, for GAA, up to 55% for private producers. For GAA, we should force them to quit from the market, and 70% royalty was a good mechanism. As for Укргазвидобування, the royalty was calculated artificially to form the amounts of money in the budget which will be allocated for subsidies. Now, the next issue, $70 price for Ukrainian cost, 1,090 hryvnia. This is actually the same. About volumes of domestic production. Газвидобування produces around 13 billion hryvnia. I will comment. Please show slide number 17 from my presentation. 17. Now about gas in stock as of 1st January. Naftogaz has carried out that audit. Is that audit signed? The gas which is available for supplies to population was at 0 level. If the previous government have stolen the gas, this was the accounting report. Please listen to me. About average price. Since during long period of times we had not supported in our domestic production. As of today, we have very weak production, while we have 1 trillion cubic meters in reserves. But production of that 1 trillion is possible only under another prices for gas is under our investments to our production. This is the only during last year when we invested into production. During that previous 20 years, we made no.
Number 4, which I would like to comment on. 15 billion cubic meters which Gazvodobывание produces. The difference, 1.5 or 2 billion, this is the joint activities, joint venture. We can use the communist methods and just physically take from them, but they work, they fill the budget. We do whatever we can within the legal framework. We do not plan to do something like a communist did. No expropriation. There was the comment on the electric power. The population pays less because the 40%, so 40 billion is donated by the industry for the population. In order to decrease these subsidies and balance of the prices, because we have to develop our economy. And actually, the prices for the electric power in the neighboring countries 15% lower than ours. It's very difficult for us to compete. So we have to think about the tariff, which can be used to balance of the schedule. Of course, zonal meters. This is the initiatives of the National Committee for Regulation, etc. They did that already. Tariff with the zonal the meter who is going to use the power during the night hours, they will use only 30% of the tariff. Then we can actually provide the heating during the dark hours of the day or during the night and decrease the expenditures and replace or substitute for gas. There was a comment today that there's great the losses in Obel gas. VTV, 800 million for pumping session, whatever. I believe 3%. We compared it indeed. And those losses are the level 2.5%. So the difference is really negligible. Moreover, the National Committee is working on that and very intensively. We are working on absolutely new methodology, but that's why I'm positive that this specific problem will be resolved in the nearest future, and the major expenditures are borne by the Naftogaz. Those are not the losses, not the expenses, but the money spent for pumping over. To balance of the pressure in the gas transportation system, they burn this gas to ensure the operation turbines. This gas, which is used for transportation purposes, when they have 2 billion cubic meters, which if you use for the transportation Russian gas, you use the Ukrainian gas. No, not the Ukrainian gas. The gas which goes into the system for transportation of the Russian gas. We need to use the Russian gas because this is included in the cost of transportation. But under statistics, this is qualified as technological losses. That's why we actually put the invoice to Russia for the pumping it to 1,000 cubic meters per 100 kilometers, and Transgas spends less than that. This is a commercial secret, so I'm not going to give you the figures. But in order to pump, they have to spend someone to burn some gas, and statistically they are regarded as technological losses, not from the Укргазводобывание. Inside the system, Укргазводобывание spends in one case when they produce within the framework of recovery. Part of the gas is spent for the technological losses. They produce electric power themselves, and they send to the system a bit less of this gas, some of the liquefied gas also, etc. In Naftogaz, and I'm sure we'll say a few words, that today, for the purposes of transportation and the delivery to the end users, not transportation, to delivery to the users. It brings them $280 of loss per each 1,000 cubic meters. Then to say those diagrams we saw that Naftogaz takes away huge amounts of money, this is not an objective comparison, because we're talking about 7,200 price. Not all the gas is paid by the population. I mean, because quite a big portion of this gas is subsidized for the population, either 3,600 or 2,800. So the government kept its word. They established the price for 200 cubic meters for each estate. 2,000 for 200 cubic meters, 3,600 hryvnia. 75% of the consumers will fit into this norm. We have statistics. Okay, we heard all the figures. I'm happy for you that you have some friends who consume much more. Actually, we are coming closer to the time when we have to have a briefing for your situation. We cannot postpone that briefing. This number one. Number two, I really am happy that everybody provided his own or her own calculation, results of calculation, figures, whatever. We have kind of heated discussion taking into consideration. This is really a very important thing. As I promised, 3 closing comments from the experts, but to the maximum extent, please be laconic and brief. Naftogaz, the representative who did not have his say, so you can offer your comment. 2 short comments.
First of all, about that data survey about international consultants, Ukrainian consultants, raise of natural gas prices for population will influence growth of GDP, because we will bring Укргазвидобування price equal to the market price. We will raise the capital for production of natural gas. Also, there will be raise of domestic production and decrease in import, and there will be increased energy saving investments, and very short statement about against raised tariffs. They speculate and change the notions that 30% of gas will be supplied at the 1,700 hryvnia, and 70% to population will be supplied at 3,600 hryvnia. And also, we cannot forecast for our CHPs, because production engineers in CHPs, when they see that the temperature in winter night is going below, they will simply turn on the gas torches, and without any calculation, in the fear of law enforcement agencies. And at the same time, there is big discrepancy in figures. One of experts who spoke today, when he used to be a minister, there are big discrepancies in figures, and And also I would like to remind you that this year we had first quarter, which is usually the most difficult. During the first quarter, we had all the low prices for natural gas, 1300, and the price for population was $300. That is, Naftogaz during the first quarter had huge losses, which we now have to cover to bring the budget and to balance the budget by the end of the years. That working group, which was led by Olena Osmolovska and Verkhovna Rada, we provided accounting figures from Naftogaz and Transgas, which showed that in our underground storages by some date we had no gas of our own production, and only 200 million gas was in Crimea, which is not available for us today. That is, we do not have resources allowing to cut down prices for population. On the other hand, we cannot make cheap prices for population, saying that this will improve their lives, because in this case the government covers subsidies for population, and this deteriorates national budget and cuts down all the other social provisions. Unless we do not bring all the prices, all the 10 different prices of gas in the same price to one, we won't be able to reach something. When Kiev had cheaper prices, people from Zhytomyr came every day to Kiev to buy bread and go to Zhytomyr. The only unified price in the market should be available for all the consumers, and I would ask everybody who is watching us now to understand correctly. Please do not get an impression that in any country the consumers try to influence the cost of the goods. They should, consumers should worry about the bills, and if an old woman cannot pay for the gas, it should be concerned about warming the walls. We should launch this energy-saving business and not serve as a market agent for the Russian gas. And I pray for really cold winter to allow people to realize what the reality is. In 5 years, we should sharply decrease energy consumption, and in 5 years, we would be surprised how silly we were. We should cut down energy consumption by 30% in 5 years, and by 50% in 10 years. When our neighbors are interested in selling gas to us, they are simply making us gas addicts instead of developing.
Both Oleksiy, I would like to ask you kind of be short, brief. First of all, the issue of the housing and communal services. I can see the representatives to seriously discuss that issue. I'll try to simplify that discussion. Over 20 hryvnia per square meter, we are going to have tariffs for heating. Just listen to me. Kramatorsk, just wait. Kramatorsk 28, Sumy 21, Kyiv 18. Just make your calculation. Maybe this is not that bad, but please understand, there are no meters. Multi-apartment buildings where 60% of the urban population resides in, you are living in separate individual houses. Have they created for you the conditions for you to start working on the project, how to have additional heat or whatever? I can explain to you, in each conventional speaking, in each building, half of them cannot pay for the communal housing invoices, and they say just take a loan with the 28% interest for 10 years, and then Mr. Pavliuk will tell you how much per square meter will be. 50 or 60 minimum dollars per square meter. So that's what I mean. If you want to help with your subsidies, this is not Yatsenyuk with the rent, which already I paid to you, and then he yesterday said, I help you with this social discount. Okay, then that has the vulnerable people, give them a special subsidy for increasing the heating. Then we can decrease the consumption of your gas, which we do not want to see, and then we will decrease our urban budget. I can see any benefits for providing more heat for the multi-apartment houses. Number one, for 60% of the population. It can go to faster. We can go there together. They already switch over to the hard for the hard fuel boilers, but they already felled all the trees which could be felled. You understand what's going on? That's why. Please understand. The peat is. This is the theory. I agree with Madam Tymoshenko, Mr. Demchyshyn, you have to put this question to Yatsenyuk. This is where the failure is. The shock therapy in Ukrainian style. My forecast is this will have a very bad ending. So, Mr. Minister, when we are talking with Yuriy Volodymyr, if here, out of 7,200, this is also my company, This is Ukrgaz with the Bazar. Well, I can understand what kind of issue you are going to discuss. We graduated from the school different years, but we were very good in maths. I also have the cybernetics knowledge. So the gas выдобывания provides 7%, and Naftogaz takes almost 50%. So if from my money, which I pay as the consumer, if you gave to my national company, Ukhrgaz the money taken from you for the production of our money, then we will increase 1 billion or 2 per year, and then I would give you a round of applause. But you took from me 50% of Naftogaz. You used this money just to eat them up, and Pavliuk is absolutely right. You have to install the meters, and then this will lead to the less consumption of gas. This is my claim to everybody, which they call themselves government today. Sorry.
Oleksiy Khabatiuk, I would like to raise the topic of paradigms. Olga mentioned it in gas production, but I would like to come closer to the paradigm of consumer. The paradigm of consumer should be as follows. The lesser you consume, the better it is for you. Then the lesser you consume, all the discussions like today are not interesting to you. The more energy sufficient you are, the the more energy independent you are, the better is for you, and the lesser you will pay independently. What are the tariffs? What are the prices, etc. In this discussion, we lack some smart people discussing how Ukraine is turning into energy-saving company. That is, we should have Mr. Gennady Zubko, Mr. Savchuk, head of energy-saving agency. We should hear how energy-saving country we should be, not just energy-producing company, resource producing, because we have our children and they wish to get the nature and natural resources in not lesser conditions than we have today. So very briefly, we make summary. Dmytro. In result of our discussion, we came to conclusion that we have a new paradigm of pricing, and many problems which had been accumulated during the 20 years, they have to be resolved today, and today we try to resolve them now. And now we are metering heat consumption in big buildings, multi-storied buildings, and next week we will show on our website our report how much we did in this sphere, and next year we will have 100 meters established for heating, for hot water, for electricity, and it's but that we do not have a social security expert today who might explain us how consumers, vulnerable consumers, will be able to resolve their problems with bills. All that we are doing at the technical level is coordinated with European language legislation. Today we have to explain to consumers in simple words, in plain words, how the new market will function. I would suggest to raise several sensible topics. Let us have separate discussion on energy saving, on royalties, on joint activity agreements, on PSAs. We should inform population and experts, should everybody understand who is who and who had been earning on what during the last 15 days, years.
2 minutes, because we are pressed in time. I believe that we have to take a few important steps. Number one, at last, with the will of the democratic new power, we have to remove the agency on Naftogaz, as it's provided for by all our European programs. We have to live only with the gas transport, oblgaz transportation, Ukrgas with the Bavania production, and we do not need this intermediary or this agency. This will be a real reform. Number two, we have to directly sign the contracts for the purchase of gas for the population and the heat gas energy between the Ukr-Gas Nafta and the production companies. By removing the intermediary, we can talk about using the Ukrainian gas, not the imported gas. Number three, what we need immediately to check at the level of the prosecutor's office the balances of gas, and to prove that we have enough Ukrainian produced gas to meet the requirements or the needs of the population. Number four, on Tuesday we have to adopt the law which will decrease the rental for the gas producing companies, and they start to increase quickly the volume of production, and the rental which will remain at number five. We should be used not for eating up, not for the consumption, but for all the necessary measures associated with the energy saving, because if we talk about the just payable non-losing price for the population, but much less than today, we won't have to pay subsidies and not to humiliate the people and put them on the hook or the needle of the state dependence. And I believe that the new government, which will replace this one, it should be done as soon as possible, they will offer this menu to us, and we are going to have absolutely different country from point of view of development of economy and social protection and welfare of the people. Thank you. Naftogaz, please. Since we have a state-run production company, it belongs to the people of Ukraine, and not a single owner who actually understands what business economy is. He won't actually sell their products for the market prices. The market is not existent. It exists since October 1 and carry. No, there is no more discussion here, okay? The owner is interested that the enterprise which belongs to me and sells on the market price. He has to take some to get some profit, and they pay the people, stakeholders, the dividends. In conclusion, very briefly, we were talking a lot about the reforms. I'd like to give you an example. In the 1990s, Poland went through the shock therapy. They increased the prices till the market levels. It was difficult. It was hard, and they focused on the energy saving and energy efficiency. They spent 17 billion cubic meters for the industry we use for this area. Did we have the level of corruption in Poland the same as here in Ukraine? I already explained where the corruption comes. We have different prices. They write off the price, the low price to the population and the high price to somebody else. Do not do that. Okay, Ms. Demchyshyn, we are not doing that, but 23 years before us, they did that. They have been doing that. And in the beginning of 1990s, Poland, as a country, went through this stage, and they increased their GDP 3 times. We actually 3 times lower in those days. So the answer is as simple as that. In practice, everything is clear now. IMF, which helps us, they already found that in the Eastern Europe for the last 20 years, perhaps. They do not invent the bicycle. All the counselors, all the advisors coming here, they already have their experience in Bulgaria, in Czech Republic, in Hungary, Poland, whatever. And you know, the big things can be seen from big distance. Maybe we can see the effect of this when we sometime later. I may assure you that we are following the direct and correct direction, and the effect is already visible and will be more visible very soon. Most important that the persuasion of the minister of the correctness of the policy. We touched upon very many issues, not only associated with the gas. This is a very difficult discussion. We are going to continue this discussion on 20th of October. They will have the report of EITI, and I call upon you to come back to this discussion. Maybe you can take everything in the lobby, all the materials, because we are going to have another briefing in a few minutes from now. So thanks everybody for your attention, and see you again different functions of our UCMC.